Ugandans are brutalized, unlawfully arrested, and hundreds have endured illegal, prolonged detentions because the state continues to use draconian, colonial, and unconstitutional laws as tools of repression. Our Constitution guarantees freedoms of speech, expression, assembly, and association. Yet every time Ugandans have peacefully exercised these rights to protest against bad governance, corruption, or abuse of power, they are met with violence. Remember the walk-to-work protests against skyrocketing fuel prices? Many were arrested, scores were injured. The November 2020 protests following the arrest of presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu left over 50 people dead and many others detained. And just last year, in 2024, when young people took to the streets to protest against gross corruption in parliament, over 100 of them were arrested and detained for weeks. Opposition rallies are blocked or tear-gassed without warning. Entire neighborhoods are surrounded by security forces, not because of crime, but simply to prevent people from gathering. Even students have been arrested for peacefully demanding better conditions at universities. Often, those arrested are charged with ridiculous offenses like common nuisance, sedition, or unlawful assembly under colonial era laws such as the Penal Code Act, the Public Order Management Act, and remnants of the Sedition Act. When the British colonialists introduced these laws, they were designed to criminalize assembly, expression, and organizing for resistance. Unlawful assembly provisions allowed authorities to break up any gathering of more than a few people. Common nuisance gave the state a tool to arrest anyone deemed inconvenient or disruptive. These laws were not about public safety. They were about control and oppression. And today, decades after independence, Ugandan rulers have simply kept these same chains, using them to silence dissent. But why should Ugandans still be harassed under these laws when our 1995 Constitution clearly guarantees these freedoms? Article 2 of the Constitution states that it is the supreme law of the land, and any other law that contradicts it is null and void. Some of these laws have ever been challenged in court, and they were found unconstitutional. Yet they continue to exist and are still used to criminalize constitutional rights. Remember the 2011 sedition case involving Andrew Mwenda? The Constitutional Court nullified the sedition provision, ruling that it violated freedom of speech. That law, like many others, was inherited from the colonial era. By design, these laws were never meant to deliver justice, but to suppress resistance. What's more, these laws are applied selectively. When you see NRM leaders or their supporters organize gatherings, there is rarely any interference. The NRM March Against Corruption in December 2019 went ahead peacefully. The PLU March to Parliament, still against corruption, passed without any disruption. The Kabaka's Run and even Rotary marches proceed freely. But when opposition politicians, activists, journalists, or ordinary citizens dare to hold power accountable, they are tear-gassed, beaten, arrested, or charged. Yet in the end, there are rarely any convictions. Cases are dismissed, but the state is never held accountable, not for violating constitutional rights, not for harassment, and not for false imprisonment. This must change. Ugandans must challenge this abuse, and the judiciary, as the arbiter and custodian of justice, must stop being complicit. Justice delayed is freedom denied.